Tonight, let's see, we're going to stay with a couple things, and most of it is in contextual understanding. For several of you, you got more than enough technique, whether it's through the fire set or your Yang 24. You got more technique than you do application. You probably got more technique than you do understanding. Would that be fair? I mean, and of course, sometimes the performance of doing the forms can become overrated, but it's inspiring and motivating, and that's good. I just have to make sure we take advantage of it so that you have some ideas about what you may be doing. So tonight, in the Tai Chi Chuan, they'll break things down into a system of things like Peng, Loi, Jian, Sao, Li, Chi, Ko, is at least the way Sifu would say it, which was of a Cantonese. You may hear it pronounced differently, but that's how he would usually say it. Peng, Loi, Jian, Sao, Li, Chi, Ko. And tonight, what we're going to do is a little bit of the reeling silk around Lieh. Lieh means splitting, typically, and not splitting necessarily the way you may think about it. Splitting in the sense, I think the word English sometimes that's even better is called rendering. Bob Speed and I spoke about this once, and he's much better with some of that sort of terminology than I am. But the idea being is when you read the old classic, when it was translated anyway, at least parts of it would say Lieh is like the forces of the rippling, what's that water thing? Whirlpool. Yes, a whirlpool. Okay. And that the circles of the whirlpool as it's moving become the energetic forces. That no matter where a leaf falls onto the whirlpool, it will be quickly sucked down. All right, so you think about that for a moment. That's what it's trying to tell you, right? That you're developing this circular energy so that no matter where it hits or where you connect. The other example in that same paragraph is that when the like a big windmill sort of gear is spinning quickly, it doesn't matter where you throw the rock, and it gets spit back out. So your mind first has to wrap around those concepts. The circling power of like a whirlpool or a spinning gear. And where do you see that in your Tai Chi? Well, three main places it shows off. We do this one almost every week, one way or another, is right here. In your parting horse's mane. Right? So take a moment, and I'd like for you to just, practice. Just think about that. And what if you were trying to create, and then all of a sudden, where do you see the leaf? If it was touching anywhere in, where does it get sucked in? Right? Because usually the mind, as we were talking about earlier, is always about just one side. It never completes the circle. And all you see is, okay, yeah, I did it. No, you didn't. This side didn't participate. So when you see the circling action of parting horse's mane, that's a big, big part of just trying to understand, what am I doing? Okay. Also, when you're practicing it, to try to get it, try to remember a whirlpool doesn't go start, stop, right? It just turns. Okay. So what you want to try to do is get to a place where you don't have so many starts and stops and all these hitches. Okay. Of course, when you're on your own time, make sure you practice both sides. Ain't that right, Vader? Yes, sir. Okay. He got popped in the head earlier for failure to practice as instructed. All right. But to that point, okay, another one is crane cool's wings. You can see in the crane cool's wings the spiraling. Now, if I'm doing it nice and slow, and you see me in a moment in time, Usually when people think of crane cool's wings, they just see this little posture and they etch it in their mind like concrete, which is fine. Okay. But you have to have the full circle where this hand reaches into the elbow, this slides under and back. Then it really won't matter if you're sliding your weight forward or back, but you'll have a moment in time where you'll hit the posture. Mm-hmm. And you practice these till they become natural. And then you'll practice it to where you can find when does it trigger. And that's what Bader was working on earlier, was when do you trigger this spiraling? Okay, now let's do the other side if you haven't already. So there you are, right here. Then the hand floats under the elbow, right? Mm-hmm. If you have to, flip over to the other side and go, oh, okay. The young hand drops and wraps. Young hand drops and wraps. Young hand drops and wraps.
Is your weight changing when you do that?
Say that again.
Is your weight changing? Are you shifting your weight back and forth?
I am right now. Yeah, I'm playing with it, so I apologize. Yeah, I'm playing with it, so I'm allowing myself. I don't even know if I'm in a cat stance, because the stance can be different than the upper body expression. You could be doing this in a somewhat of a bow stance, but it sometimes feels better to let your weight kind of move naturally if you just kind of close your eyes and moved a little bit. Okay. How about here? Do y'all have questions? Mm-hmm. Yeah, or not. That's right. You can change your weight. And ideally, you'll get to a place where you do allow your weight to change, allow your intention to take over so that you're not just stuck in one stance, right? And that can really help you put some life into it and lighten up a little bit. Mm-hmm. Good. So that's two. And the idea is, again, when you're practicing those, and we have our reeling silk exercises, there's a lot of different ways to work on them. And those two in particularly are usually associated with the power of Lieh, of splitting, so in the cases of like Bob, we'll turn him this way. Okay. You can see the idea is that as I'm splitting him, this part of him falls into the hole, like the leaf gets sucked in, so that as he's coming in, it ends up being that he's here now. It's not he's over there. Okay. I'm not trying to block and then hit. That's not Lieh, right? This is Lieh. Now he's split. Sorry about that. You're back. Okay.
No.
Okay. All right.
It's a big difference.
Yeah, it is. Right. But the biggest difference is that I'm not trying to block him or stop him. I'm allowing myself just to become that whirlpool that sucks him in where he was trying to go anyway.